What is the worst thing that can happen to you if you run some errands for a cartel boss? How about your death videotaped live for the world to watch? Shocked? Hold on tight, because today we're going to explore the lethal world of cartel leaders and their most brutal attacks to date. The Mexican cartels are notorious for their malpractice and mistreatment of one another, but you'll be amazed to know how far they can actually go. Even between themselves, the cartels are known to have committed gruesome acts, and today's story's one that will leave you shaken. Social media is something influencers use to show off millions of followers and take selfies, but the cartels thought of a whole new way to intimidate their opponents. Oftentimes, when a cartel leader picks up the camera, it's not to review the nearest McDonald's, but videotape some of the most gruesome deaths on camera. The strangest part is that this doesn't even get them arrested. It just goes on to make them more famous and much more feared. One such case was that of Felix Gomez Garcia and Barnabas Gomez Castro, two errand runners for Mexico's Sinaloa cartel who just landed on the wrong side of events. If you thought they were some famous kingpins or hunted hitmen, you would be wrong. They were just minor workers under the grand rule of the Sinaloa cartel. According to them, they only got 300 pesos, which is equal to $17 or less. When they started working for the cartel, they did not know they were going to become the worst type of example in the history of Mexican drug cartels. Trigger warning. This is a horrific retelling of the story of the deaths of Felix Garcia and Barnabas Castro. And if you're sensitive to graphic content and violence, you might not want to watch ahead of this. You have been warned. Recently, there have been many shows that highlight the glorious part of being a drug lord. Their lavish lifestyle, grand parties, big million-dollar deals, and expensive lifestyles shown off in the TV shows are only one side of these drug lords and their risky lives. There's a very ugly side of working for a drug lord as well. And that's exactly the side they never show you on TV. The tragedy of Felix Garcia and Barnabas Castro was that they weren't living the lavish lifestyle. They were paid in peanuts, yet they risked their lives for this cartel and ended up losing it. The famous chainsaw massacres in 2010 have plagued history for the past several years and will continue to do so. The two men were commonly referred to as Chapos because they worked for, you guessed it, El Chapo. El Chapo, or Joaquin Guzman, was the head drug lord of the Sinaloa cartel. And the two men admit in their video that they worked directly for him as drug pushers and couriers. Warning: do not go looking for the video on the internet. It's not good for you. The video contains live beheading and decapitating of one man, while the other watches. And it has often left many viewers in shock or worse. The chainsaw murders are not only hard to watch, but also tend to desensitize many viewers to the happenings around them. Be warned. Brutalities in the drug world are not an uncommon thing. Sometimes when a rival gang gets hold of members from the other gang, they make horrific examples out of them. Sometimes it even happens that members of the same cartel have a civil war between them, and usually many end up dead. Felix Garcia and Barnabas Castro were related, and Felix was only 26 at the time of his departure from this world. Felix was a young man when he was arrested in Phoenix, Arizona for the possession of drugs. The uncle and nephew can be seen held up against a wall in the video that has haunted the internet for more than a decade. At first, both uncle and nephew were interrogated. Many questions were asked by an unknown, unidentified man who watched them die, along with another possible accomplice, who was recording with a camera. The Salem News on the 25th of September 2011 read, "Sinaloa cartel traffickers butchered alive." And no one knew who had done that to Garcia and Castro, uncle and nephew. But little did people know that before being so executed on screen, the two men made some confessions. The true tragedy strikes when you realize they, both Felix Garcia and Barnabas Castro, had never killed for the Sinaloa cartel. They were mere drug pushers who mentioned the name of El Cholo. After El Chapo, Joaquin Guzman's extradition, the Sinaloa cartel fell in the hands of Chapitos, Chapo's 4 sons, and the mysterious Ismael Zambada, better known as El Mayo. A man who has never once been arrested by the police or DEA for his drug-related crimes. Amidst El Chapo's arrest and his fall from the throne as the greatest drug lord of the greatest drug cartel, another man rose, El Cholo. He formed his own cartel that was financially backed by the Sinaloa cartel itself. This new cartel was called Nueva Plaza Cartel. Things went south for El Cholo pretty quickly. El Cholo did not know that he was getting into a whole new web of problems that would not subside with the formation of a new cartel. When El Mencho, also known as Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes, created the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, he vowed to become the mortal enemy of the Sinaloa cartel. And the two cartels had a cold war between them ever since. In a tragic turn of events, El Cholo decided to side with the police in the civil war between the two powerful cartels. That was the last decision he ever made. 2 days later, his body was found, and it was a clear message to everyone who would ever think of going against the cartels. Traitors beware, or else. In the brutal pre-murder video, the men confessed to being associated with El Cholo and working for El Chapo as errand boys. No men of real importance. The saddest part is that they knew no one was coming for them. They held no importance to the cartel. But here's the plot twist. These men were not arrested by the rival Jalisco New Generation cartel. They were hunted by their own. And they were being videotaped by Sinaloa cartel itself to create an image of fear among its members. Rumor had been that the two men, Felix Garcia and Barnabas Castro, had stolen from the Sinaloa cartel in one of their drug-related escapades. The cartel wanted to make sure that did not happen again, and this was their way of letting the members know you do not mess with the Sinaloa cartel. Warning: the video circulating the internet of the chainsaw murders of Felix Garcia and Barnabas Castro is not only disturbing but also harmful to the mind. You are advised to steer clear of it, and do not, we repeat, do not go out looking for it. The uncle seems to have resigned to his fate. Barnabas Castro watches hopelessly, knowing what's to become of his life and that of his nephews. Although the fact that they had stolen was never proven, the two men met the most horrible fate. He does not even scream or shout when he sees the chainsaw coming close to his head. Felix flinched and tried to look away as his uncle was decapitated right in front of him. And that was the last thing Felix ever saw, his poor uncle fatally wounded. Barnabas's death was quick, perhaps because he had recently joined the cartel, but the executioners made sure they made Felix feel his death to the utmost. They killed him slowly and painfully to really give him time to think about his life. For 2 whole minutes, Felix writhes and wriggles as seen in the video, before succumbing to the wounds given to him by the machete. His beheaded corpse falls as his head is held for the audience to watch on screen. And that was the tragic chainsaw killing and machete murder of Felix Garcia and Barnabas Castro, uncle and nephew who worked with the wrong people and met their end. So what do you think? Did they deserve what they got? Should brutal death be the ultimate price for working with cartels? How much of a financial necessity would make you do this? Let us know in the comments below. Like this video for more content from Crime Central to come your way, and subscribe to us for weekly videos on your favorite topics.